Hi, everybody. Good evening. My goal tonight is to deliver you a public service announcement and make you aware of the fact that as you leave here and go throughout to the rest of the week, it's likely that you're going to encounter some people of various personas, many of which you'll probably recognize. And while you may see some of these personas in a literal figure, there are some spiritual personas that match these that you're probably going to interact with on a daily, weekly, or occasional basis at home, at work, or possibly even here in our church family. So, for example, you may run across the spiritual clown who, to a person like that, everything in life is a joke. They never get serious about any kind of spiritual conversations. They put on a happy face, despite the fact that underneath they may have some very serious emotional trauma going on. Or you may run across the spiritual Frankenstein's monster, who is a mix and match of spiritual backgrounds and experiences, and they're just not really sure how they feel about their creator, their maker, and they probably struggle with those of us who have what they would consider a normal religious or spiritual life, and they don't know how to process that. They don't know how to rationalize it, and because of that, they may be people that seek alternative expressions for their religious or spiritual views. Or perhaps you know a spiritual vampire, person who's a leech, draining others of their passion or excitement or joy in their spiritual life. People that think they're immortal, or at least they avoid the consequences of the actions that they take, up to the point, in some cases, so extreme that they live for the nightlife or alternative lifestyles. Or perhaps you know a spiritual ghost, a person who is empty of the person they used to be, maybe caused by major trauma or event in their life, and so now their life seems lifeless, purposefulness. They just go through the motions at home, at church, at work. And while they may attach themselves to a familiar place like work or the bar or the gym, that attachment is merely physical, and they really don't engage mentally or spiritually with the people they meet there. Or perhaps you know a spiritual witch or wizard whose person is basically totally dependent upon how they're able to affect other people's lives, either for good or for bad. And so they spend a lot of time working on their spells and potions or their methods of getting other people to do what they want. And they're also usually pretty good at stirring the pot for controversy. Or perhaps you know a spiritual devil, a person who is full of resentment, anger, malice, or even hatred towards God or the world, whose personality basically depends on watching the world burn and rooting for chaos, people who really are only happy in those circumstances where others are in misery like they feel. So my goal and challenge to you is that you should be intentional with how you interact with these people. And my slide deck was way cooler than this, by the way. It was all like animated and stuff, but whatever, it's fine. So be intentional with how you interact with these people this week. So in 1 Corinthians 9, 19 through 23, Paul talks about how he became all things to all people. It's not probably realistic for us to be all things to all people, but my question to you is, can you be the one person to the people that you know in the world that are struggling? Can you be that person to them? The very last verse in that section of 1 Corinthians 9, verse 23 says, I do all things for the sake of the gospel so that I may become a fellow partaker of it. Note that he says fellow partaker. Paul's not in it just for himself. Paul's in it to also bring those around him along for the journey. Think about how Jesus interacted with people in his life. Two specific examples that I'll throw out here at you. One from John 4, when he meets the Samaritan woman at the well. This woman is just simply coming out to draw water. I would probably argue that she's probably on her mind got all of the life circumstances that she's found herself in. Maybe even contemplating the fact that she's with the 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever man she happens to be on. But Jesus uses the circumstance that he finds this woman in to connect with her. He uses the words, "I'll give you living water." She's there for physical water. He knows that, and he uses that to make a connection with her. And then after the rapport is built, he goes on to bring in what he knows to be the uncomfortable subject. Go and bring your husband back. Because he knows that that interaction, that question, that opportunity presents a spiritual connection and an opportunity for spiritual growth for her. Another example of Jesus using the circumstances of the person to his advantage for spiritual growth is Zacchaeus, which is found in Luke chapter 19. So Zacchaeus is not just a tax collector, he's actually a chief tax collector. So he's somebody. He's not just a nobody. But he's not engaged with Jesus on a interested, a committed, a belief level. He's sheerly on the level of curiosity. But enough curiosity that he's willing to climb a tree to get a look. Jesus, again, uses the circumstance to his advantage. You've got a man who's a chief of the people cornered in a tree, and you put him on the spot. "I want to come to your house." What's he going to say? He's going to say yes. And Jesus is able to use the opportunity to actually create spiritual growth within Zacchaeus and his family. So one other thing that I want you to think about this evening, beyond just interacting with other people, is to get a little self-introspective, to take to heart the words of Lamentations 3:40 and 2 Corinthians 13:5, and examine yourself. Ask yourself, are you hiding in one of these spiritual disguises? Are you acting like the spiritual clown, where you treat your relationship with God as a non-serious manner and factor? Are you the spiritual Frankenstein's monster, where you pick and choose which parts of God's word you want to listen to and apply, and the other parts, you're good. Don't need that. Are you acting the spiritual vampire, where basically all you do is complain to God? Nothing's ever good. We're never thankful, never giving God the praise he deserves, just telling God how bad you got it. And when you're at church, you're there to drain the energy from others. You don't contribute. You don't lift others up. You're there to draw energy off of them. Misery loves company, as they say. Are you the spiritual ghost? You're just cruising through your spiritual life. You're walled off and distant. Your prayer life is minimal to non-existent. And you show up at church, but you're basically just there to try to get a check mark. You don't engage with people. You don't engage with the worship, with the Bible study. You do your time and you go home. Are you the spiritual witch or wizard, trying to treat God as your genie? The only time you want to connect with him is when you want something. And the only time I show up to church is when I either need something, or I'm ready to be judgmental, or I'm ready to find things to nitpick about people, or I'm ready to stir the pot with some gossip I heard. Or are you in a place of anger with God? Do you feel yourself in a place of malice or envy? Because that's not a place you want to be either. Only you know where you are, and only you know who you are. If you're not where you want to be, trust me, there are many of us here who have been in whatever situation you're in now. And this is an opportunity right now, if you need some help, to let us know. To come forward and get prayers, to get support, to take off the mask that you're hiding behind and get serious about your relationship with God, or to take that first step, if you need to, and be baptized into Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. And now's your opportunity. Let's stand and sing.